Now this ability and willingness to be irresistible to your husband comes naturally. It's not a gimmick. You don't have to wear lingerie. You don't have to put on an act. You don't have to do anything. If he knows that you are so accepting of him and so hungry for him, not for something, you will be irresistible. When you start thinking, what can I do to be irresistible, then something's wrong. This is not a scheme. Women who are shrewd and use their womanly, that's not Jewish. It's the nature of a woman. You don't have to do anything unusual or unnatural or artificial.
And if a woman's not in touch with her need for him.
That's why we're having these conversations. We have to understand ourselves. We have to understand our own nature, trust it, like it, and be it. So the clearer the picture is, the more appealing the picture is, the healthier we're going to be. Now, what happens, I don't think this question came up exactly in these words, but what happens if you're really a healthy makabel and your husband is not reacting? He doesn't know how to be a mashpia.
Sorry, different words than makabel and mashpia. Like, what would be the translation of that?
The giver and the receiver. So you're willing to receive, you're completely open, you're completely welcoming, you're completely irresistible, but your husband doesn't notice, which is unusual because that's not natural. A man finds a woman's hunger irresistible. It's a vacuum. It draws him in. The first thing is, if he's not being a mashpia, you're not going to do anyone a favor by not being a makabel. That just adds to the problem. So you stay who you are, remain what you are, remain the makabel, and we have to find a way to get the husband to be mashpia. But don't stop. Don't become the mashpia, because then there's no hope. So if half the relationship is healthy, that's a lot better than if none of it is healthy.
What would that look like if you become the mashpia?
You become aggressive. You start telling him what he needs to do. You become his mashpia and his policeman and his... I was just talking to a group of men about this subject. There are so many times when a girl will ask, I'm going out with a guy, he's so nice, he's so good, he's so sweet, he's such a mensch, he's such a, I don't know why, but something, I can't put my finger on it, I don't know what it is, but something, I'm resisting, I don't know why. What's wrong with me? What's wrong is that he's a very nice guy. He's a sweetheart. He's not a mashpia. Doesn't feel like a mashpia to you. He feels like a teddy bear. You could adopt him and enjoy him but you can't be makabel from him. He's not a mashpia to you. And how do you know that? He picks you up to go out on the meeting. We really shouldn't call it dates. We don't date. So he picks you up and he says, so where should we go? That's it. It's all over. It's all over. I should decide where we're going? That's off on the wrong foot. It would be even worse if on the wedding night they come home from the wedding and the husband says, so what should we do? Let's play Monopoly. And he thinks he's being sensitive and thoughtful. I mean, he doesn't want to force you. He wants to know your opinion. What do you think we should do now? That's nice, no? It's very nice. It's not a mashpia. So how do you get your husband to be a mashpia? By telling him what to do, right? He asked, you tell him. No. You're making him into a makabel. And by the way, it's not necessarily a personality flaw. The Michigan society that we live in actually tells men to do that. I mean, if you're listening to the secular chachamim, you got to be thoughtful, you got to be considerate, you got to be... Yeah, you have to be thoughtful and considerate of the fact that your wife needs a mashpia, not another makabel. So it could be that the man is doing this because he thinks it's the right thing. Somebody's got to clue him in. Take that a step further. A man comes and says, I'm married so many years, I don't know what to do anymore. I do my part, I do what I'm supposed to do, but she just never, ever, what? In other words, I did my share. How do I get her to do her share? Getting her to do her share is your share. You're the mashpia. Don't act helpless or insulted that you did your part and she's not doing hers. You're the mashpia. Be a mashpia. Don't back off when things get difficult. Well, I did enough. No, you never did enough. You're the mashpia. You know what that's like, because you've had a principal call you up and say, you know, your kid, he just doesn't want to learn. I know, that's why I sent him to you. Well, what kind of argument is this? You're the school, you're the teacher, you're the principal, and my kid doesn't want to learn and you don't know what to do? Why don't you ask my kid? He'll teach you. You become the student. You've given up your role as a teacher. You know, you got to do something with your kid. You know, we can't handle kids who don't want to learn. Then you're not a teacher. But how do you build up your husband? By telling him what to do? By demanding that he does more? No. Be more of a makabel, not less. The more you are makabel, the more he will be mashpia. Unless there's something seriously wrong and he needs help. But by nature, the more you are makabel, the more he is mashpia.
What does it mean to be a supportive and encouraging wife as a makabel?
It means that instead of telling your husband what he's doing wrong in his business, because you know better, even if you really do know better.
You do know better.
And you do know better, right? But that's not a supportive role. Whatever he's trying to do, support him in that. Because the Eibishter can give success even to stupid people. You know what I mean? Some people make all the wrong moves and they get rich. So it doesn't have to be your way, which makes more sense. You can be successful in the way that makes less sense.
But if you tell your husband something like, that was a great job or something, but all of a sudden it kind of, that's a little bit mashpia-ish, maybe.
No.
Okay.
That's supportive.
Okay.
You wish him well, you hope he succeeds, instead of saying, maybe if you tried something else. No, don't do that to him.
Does it mean that you have to give up your own opinion and needs?
No.
You have to say yes to whatever he wants?
No.
So how you become a cover?
In fact, he doesn't even want that. If you say yes to everything he wants, then you're basically not even talking to him. You know what I mean? Yes. What? Yeah. Hey, are you listening? If you say yeah to everything, you're not even listening to me. So you can't do that. Right? He'll stop talking to you if you say yes to everything.
I'm saying agreeing with them and going along with his ideas.
You tell him what you think. If he doesn't accept it, you're behind him all the way in the way he wants to do it. But of course you tell him your opinion. Not as a boss. And particularly when he wants your opinion. If he wants your opinion, then giving him your opinion is supportive. You're not becoming the mashpia. Or different words. You help your husband in the areas in which he wants to be helped. That's called support. But if you're trying to change his direction and change that's not support.
Say that you have to be a good makabel in order for him to be a good mashpia, but a mashpia by definition is initiation. So how do you start the conversation as a makabel?
Yeah. There's where we get confused. The mashpia initiates only on the surface. Visibly, it seems like he is starting everything, but it's not true. His actions are a reaction and a response to your irresistible acceptance of him. So it really starts with you, and then he acts on it. But because what you're doing is not visible, it seems like he's initiating.
So how does that go with if he treats you like a queen, then you'll treat him like a king? Or is it the other way around? Or is it both?
Technically that's true, but that's in terms of respect, in terms of honor, not in terms of intimacy. But so often, when this definition of mashpia and makabel is missing, the wife desperately wants to be a makabel. She has no idea that that's what she wants. And the husband desperately wants to be a mashpia, but he doesn't know what to call it. He doesn't have a language and a vocabulary for it, so he doesn't know what's bothering him. And you sit down with this couple, and it sounds like this is too. They're going to have to get divorced. They don't agree on anything. They hate each other. They argue about everything. There's nothing in common. And then you say to them, maybe you should try be a makabel, be a mashpia. And everything suddenly makes sense, and everything suddenly works. Because it's true. Because a woman wants to be makabel, loves to be makabel, and a man wants to be a mashpia and loves being a mashpia. But when we're confused about it, it's very painful. A woman, there was a couple very unhappy. The woman said to her husband, I think we got to. This is not working. We got to get divorced. He says, if that's what makes you happy, fine. She was so angry. So when I spoke to her, she said, I hate him. I want to get divorced. I don't want to have anything to do with him. Why? Because when I said, let's get divorced, he said, yes. That's it? You're not going to fight for me? You're not going to... Yeah, whatever makes you happy. Oh, come on. She didn't want to hear that. She wanted him to be the mashpia. He thought, no, I'm not going to make it hard for her. If that's what she wants, I'm a nice guy. You're a very nice guy, but she needs you to be a mashpia, not a puppy dog.